Alright, so the new update for Doomspire Defense is here, and I guess you can call this Winter Part 1 because the next update is probably going to be the Winter event, and that's probably going to come in the next week or so, because, I mean, Christmas is going to be in 2 weeks, so they're probably going to update before that comes. But we got 2 new towers. We got the Raygunner, which is the one I have right here, and we also have the Teamers, which is what you get for fully mastering Arsenal, and I still have to do that. I'm pretty broke in bricks right now, but we'll just get someone to help us showcase the 2 towers. And there's actually a secret in this update. If you go out here, the glass is broken, and if you do a little parkour up these trees, you should find these 2 maps. They're pretty much troll maps. We have What and Balloons.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy.
Alright, so this is the first new tower we got. We got Raygunner, who does 3 damage and has a pierce of 2 and is only 600 ticks to place. Honestly, this is not that surprising considering it's a intermediate tower, so obviously it's gonna be cheap, and it's probably going to be trash if you ask me. I feel like all the intermediate towers end up being like not even good for like red mode at least. I feel like this tower is just gonna be like a carbon copy of Hyper Laser if he had the pierce still, but they removed the pierce for Hyper, so maybe that's why they just wanted to make this other tower have pierce and be the only one with pierce. But level 2 now gets a burst of 2, and each of the little orbs that he fires does like 6 damage, and his pierce is increased to 3. So you really want to place this tower in a straight line like I did, and probably put it on last unless some enemies leak by like they're doing right now. Oh yeah, and also there's a bunch of like quality of life changes to this game. Like for example, the tower rings have been changed and they look a lot more cleaner, especially with the ones with Veenbox and Rockstar. They have a completely new tower ring, but the one in Rockstar, doesn't that remind you of a certain game? I'm sorry guys, don't slap me guys. TDS did not invent everything. Guys, please. Alright, so level 3, it does 10 damage, and apparently it can slow down enemies by like 5% up to 35%, but I don't really see that much of a difference in their speed. I think it's bugged. So at level 4, this tower completely changes. It now fires a giant plasma ball that goes through enemies, and it pretty much has a infinite pierce, but I don't think you're gonna be able to pierce through 30 enemies. I mean, when are there gonna be 30 enemies? Let's be real here. Okay, so at max, he now fires a much slower plasma ball that does 25 damage, and his pierce is increased to 80, as if that even mattered in the first place. But I'm not gonna lie, this tower is a solid B tier or C tier simply because it is pretty expensive to get level 4 and level 5. You're going from like a 2,000 upgrade at level 3 to a 12,000 upgrade, and then the max upgrade you can literally get a Hyper Laser instead for almost the same price. It's just like 2,000 more. So I mean, I'm not really that surprised. All intermediate towers are mid except for Arsenal, and hopefully the mastered form of it will be better than most of the towers in intermediate. Okay, so now we have the Teamers tower. Oh, and before we continue this video, I am aware that some of the stats that I said are with the buffs with Rockstar and Veenbox, so just be aware of that. The interesting thing about this is you get to have all members of the teams except for red mode because they are pure evil. But we got one of them with the minigun, we have one with a ray gun, and another one that does area damage. But they do 11 damage, and the second one, which is the yellow one, I would assume, does 8 damage with a splash of 4. And the third one, which is the minigunner, does 3 damage and has a fire rate of 0.15 seconds. So it's pretty nice that you can cycle between their stats and see what improvements they're getting. So you don't really have to like assume the damage that they're doing. Okay, so at level 2, the green battler Raygunner guy gets 13 damage and fires every 1.9 seconds. The splash damage guy, which is the yellow person, does 11 damage and still has a splash of 4. And the mini gunner just gets a much more less fire rate. I mean, they pretty much all do the same damage, they just have a better fire rate now at level 2. Alright, so at level 3, this is where things get pretty serious. The minigunner is buffed to 6 damage and has a fire rate of 0.10 seconds. The Raygunner does 65 damage now and fires every 3 seconds. And the rocket guy does 26 damage and now has a splash of 6. So this tower is pretty much good for everything. I mean, it does all types of damage. It does single target DPS, splash damage, and bullet DPS with a minigun shredding. This is probably the closest we'll ever get to a real minigun tower that isn't an admin tower already or heavy gunner. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering why I don't have teamers, is because I didn't expect it to be 13,000 to get the mastered form, so we got Mr. Blue Roblox in here to showcase it, so shout out to him for helping. But yeah, level 4, the Rocketeer now does 137 damage, and the minigun now does 8 damage, still has like 0.10 fire rate, and the Raygunner, or the hyper laser looking guy, now does 241 damage and still has a fire rate of 3 seconds. Okay, so now we got the maxed out teamers, and the cool thing about this tower is that each one of them has a little color on each of their armor to display the other teams. Like the blue team has 2 flags, the green team has some wristbands or some straps on their arm that represent the other teams, and yellow team just has a piece of the green armor and blue armor on their helmet. So the green team now does 398 damage, and each one of them still has their original fire rate as previously. The minigunner does 21 damage now, and last but not least, the yellow team now does 218 damage with a splash radius of 8. Alright, so this is both of the towers from level to level. So this is level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And for teamers, this is level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Level 5 really looks just amazing overall. Like, I love how each of them have a different type of theme to them that are based off of their mode, but green team doesn't really use any technology. Like, they don't really have snipers or ray guns, so where did they get all this from, you know? I don't really know. You guys can let me know in the comments. Alright, let's just see if these towers can actually beat yellow mode all by themselves with supports. I don't really upgrade general that much because I don't want us to get carried, but just look how much damage we're doing with teamer and Raygunner. I mean, Raygunner's not really doing that much, but teamers, just look how much they're shredding them by. And Admiral Mike is about to die in 3, 2, 1. And he's dead. Yeah, teamers is such a good tower. They're doing like 200 DPS, and that's just for like one of the units. All 3 of them combined are doing like, I would say like 600 or 700 DPS. I'm not trying to glaze here, but teamers might just be one of the coolest towers and fun towers to use, because each one of them have their own stats, as you can see, and you can swap between them, and you're pretty much getting everything in the price of one tower, as I said before. But anyways, there you guys go. These are the 2 new towers for this update, and the next update is probably going to be the winter event. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.